This episode of My Two Satoshis is brought to you by BitGet.com. BitGet is one of the fastest growing derivatives exchanges with 1.5 million users worldwide. Available to U.S. citizens, BitGet offers USDT margin trading and one-click copy trading. With over $5.6 billion in trading volume per day, you should start trading with the fifth largest global crypto exchange today. BitGet.com. Link in the description below.
This my two Satoshis. Who need 2 cents when they can get double from stacking Toshis? Yeah.
It's your boy Crypto Blood, and I'm back at you with another My Two Satoshis crypto news video for today. Hope everyone's doing well out there. We are going to be looking at the ETF that's been long awaited. I've been covering it since late 2017. So we're finally here with this Bitcoin ETF going live on the New York Stock Exchange. We're going to take a look at that. As you see from the title, this is the final piece, the final plan for Wall Street and the bankers to take over Bitcoin. I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that. You can either agree or disagree. I don't even care. Let me know your comments about it in the section below, but that's what I'm going to talk to you today about. The ETF rises about 3% in today's trading debut. I also got one from Cointelegraph that talks about Ethereum and its chart pattern, suggesting that it has a $6.5 thousand price target by the end of this year. That's this quarter. We'll see. That's a stretch, but it could happen. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility for sure. So we'll take a look at this price chart pattern to see what they're talking about here, and let me know if you think that is true as well. And lastly, this is to the contrary. Bitcoin looks to be overbought at these price levels. We've been having some issues at this $63,000 level. So a hedge fund guy that expects a pullback, and then we'll hit the $250,000 price in 5 years. That sounds very realistic to me. And so we'll take a look at this out of Markets Insider. But I still stick to this theory that if the equity markets continue to head higher, we're going higher in Bitcoin at an even faster pace. So it just all depends on what and how the equities markets look in the next couple of years, with the Fed pumping so much cash or allowing so much liquidity to be sloshed around in the equities and other traditional markets, allowing that to be sloshed around like it is. Then it's inevitable that we see some of that spill over to the crypto markets, but only time will reveal, right? All 3 articles coming up on today's episode of My Two Satoshis. Let's get it.
But before we start, if you guys find these types of videos informative, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to receive more videos like this.
Before I get started for today's video, I gotta let you guys know this PSA. Look, Crypto Blood on Instagram is just that, all lowercase, all one word, Crypto Blood. There are so many imposters out there trying to DM some of my followers, so please be aware. I'm never going to DM you about trying to get you to send me some crypto. If anything, I'll be DMing you to send me some cigars. That's about it. So just be aware of that, please. Crypto Blood is my name on Instagram, Crypto Blood _ on Twitter. All right, so with that out the way, let's take a look at the heat map. We are pretty much green today across the board. Only one down today that I'm seeing visibly is Dogecoin and Solana. Those two are down. Solana down just slightly. It's almost unched. It's trading at $155.86. Dogecoin, however, is down pretty big today, 4%. It's trading at 24 cents. Shiba also down only 2.8%. Very minor if you look at where it's been over the last month and a half. It's just been on a tear, man. Absolutely insane. These meme coins at some point I think will just phase out. One will probably be the winner and the others will just kind of fade away over the next 5 years, in my opinion. I've seen this back in 2013, 14. We had coins that really didn't have any use case other than copying, maybe like Litecoin, using the script consensus algorithm. It really had no place in the market, but it took some time for the market to finally realize that. I see that being the case with many of these meme coins. They're just not going to be around in the future, or not going to grow at the pace that they are today. So once people see that these coins aren't 10xing every month or two, they're going to start dumping them, in my opinion. Dogecoin might be an exception to the rule, but again, be very careful with these meme coins long term. It's just not a long-term look for you. Maybe to speculate and try to make a bag, but listen, you can't love these meme coins. You can't love any of these coins, to be honest with you. Think with your mind, not with your heart when it comes to investing, and definitely in cryptocurrencies, because all of those altcoins from 2013 and 14 that I remember playing with, investing with, and mining, only a handful, literally like 2 or 3 are still around. Litecoin and Dogecoin. I used to mine Dogecoin by the thousands per day. Okay. And just miraculously, Dogecoin is back or still here, primarily because of Elon Musk. The charts show us a slightly different picture at the moment. I mean, we've got a strong move up out of that dip down into that channel, but we made a recovery and it was a strong one. Now, if I draw a trend line here and we can line this up, you will see that we're on a very steep move up that is in the short run unsustainable. So I think we're seeing a bit of slowdown right here as we, are losing a little bit of momentum to the upside. So we'll need to see what happens here, if this pennant can be broken to the upside, or if we're going to break down for a slight correction before we move higher, which is what I think is going to happen. So we just need to watch it. Typically though, guys, when you see steep moves up and at this angle, they're unsustainable. They have to break that trend line, come back down, which is good. A healthy correction is fine, maybe down to $52,000 Bitcoin, or the other level I'm seeing is about $58,000 Bitcoin. Just kind of depends where the market feels is a good area to pause and regather itself for another leg up. I am still sticking to my point that we have to touch $20,000 Bitcoin. It's not a prediction, and people get this incorrect all the time or don't understand this. A prediction has to have a price and also a time. I've never given you guys a time. I just said it'd be better if we touched $20,000 Bitcoin when we were at 40 or even 30 or even $29,000 Bitcoin. Remember that? We were at $29,000 Bitcoin. And I thought we were going to go ahead and touch that 20,000, but we did not. Some fundamental things came through and changed the course of Bitcoin and the crypto markets in the short run. But ultimately, did we make a move to 20,000 from $100,000 Bitcoin? It's not out of the realm of possibility. I just would hate to see that happen. That much carnage happen to so many people, so many newbies in the space. But, we'll see what happens from here. A lot of people are banking on the Plan B predictions to continue to pan out. And I don't think a move from 100,000 down to 20,000 is really in Plan B's plan, to be honest with you. But hey, it's not 100%. I think the Plan B signal is actually quite accurate as well, but nothing is 100%. Stock markets are up today, and so that corresponds with the Bitcoin crypto markets being up as well. Dow Jones up 0.5%. We got the S&P 500 up 0.68% and NASDAQ up 0.73%, almost 0.75%. So looking good in the stock market, up and away like nothing is wrong. But I want to just say that what I think is happening here with Bitcoin, guys, and it's just, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I think ultimately Bitcoin is heading higher and will be the most performing major asset. It definitely outperforms stocks and bonds, and will continue to, I should say. But I think the reason why we're seeing this run up was in preparation or in anticipation of the launch of this Bitcoin futures ETF. Okay, that went live today and on the NYSE. It is by the ticker symbol BITO, and it jumped 3% to $41.44 today. The fund tracks CME Bitcoin futures or contracts speculating on the futures price of Bitcoin rather than the crypto itself. I'm going to read that again. The fund tracks CME Bitcoin futures or contracts speculating on the future price of Bitcoin rather than the crypto itself. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like the COMEX all over again? Straight manipulation. This is what Wall Street loves to do, and this is what they're going to come in and do. And I think the prophecy has been fulfilled on the takeover of Bitcoin. The article goes on to say here on CNBC that this means investors in the ETF should expect the price and performance of the shares to differ somewhat from the price of Bitcoin itself. This isn't ideal for existing investors. Many of them take a long view on cryptocurrencies and had hoped for the ETF that would track physical Bitcoin that investors could buy and hold. Why would they do that? You could just buy Bitcoin. It's not like you need to buy it and there's some challenge in holding it physically like gold would be, right? That's the beauty of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. It's a digital scarce asset, right? So you don't have to worry about physically holding the real Bitcoin, quote unquote. It's in your own wallet, digitally, on the ledger that's shared with millions and millions of people across the world. So it really is no need for a Bitcoin ETF that tracks physical Bitcoin or allows you to settle your position in physical Bitcoin, because you could just go buy physical Bitcoin. But at any rate, the price of Bitcoin briefly popped Tuesday morning after trading began, and it jumped 3% to $63,000. And according to Coinmetrics, nearing an all-time high of $64,000. The fund does not invest directly in Bitcoin, as I stated earlier. So again, what does this mean to you in lay terms? I think this means that this is the beginning of the end for a true price of Bitcoin. What I mean by that is, yeah, people will be able to go buy spot Bitcoin, but what happens when you have more money in the thing that tracks the spot price of Bitcoin? Guess what? It starts to influence the spot price of Bitcoin. The reverse happens. It should always be that the spot price of any asset influences the derivatives of that particular asset. But listen, when you have Wall Street get involved, unlimited money or cheap money, damn near unlimited money, when you get them involved, they're able to really slosh more money into those derivatives that in turn affect the spot price of Bitcoin. So it's a crazy situation, but that's how they subtly take over a new industry like cryptocurrencies, or at least Bitcoin. And Ethereum is probably next as well. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin won't go higher, but maybe Bitcoin will be at a higher price in 10 years if it didn't have ETFs, okay, and all these derivatives and stuff latching onto it. It may be, instead of at 500,000 or $1 million, maybe it should be naturally at $2, $3, $4 million per Bitcoin. So that's what I mean by that. I'm not saying that the Bitcoin is over as far as price is going to go to zero. No, not at all. I'm just saying that welcome to manipulation 101. All right, this is how they get into these markets and begin to manipulate it. So I just want you to be cognizant of that and understand that that's going to happen or is happening. Let's talk about Ethereum and this chart pattern suggesting that ETH can hit $6.5 thousand, $6,500 this quarter, Q4 of this year. And so they say that Ether has rallied more than 415% this year to over $3,800, and two major bullish patterns have developed, which ultimately would take it to the $62,000 to $6,500 price range. The first decisive break above the psychological $4,000 marker, which serves as a resistance trend line to a 5-month-old ascending triangle and a cup and handle pattern, could trigger a textbook price rally in the coming sessions. So this is interesting that they're showing a ascending triangle pattern forming on Ethereum, the same that I drew on Bitcoin, essentially. Look at that. I could be wrong. It could be a setup for when you see more than one asset, form a technical move like that. It could be set up for a nice move in general for the markets, but I'm still sticking to my point that we're going to have a break of this trend line before we head a little bit higher in Bitcoin, if that's going to be the case. And so it doesn't surprise me, because Ethereum and Bitcoin are definitely having a higher correlation with one another over the last couple of years here. So we'll have to see what happens. But overall, I do see Ethereum outperforming Bitcoin percentage wise, because there's going to continue to be a supply crunch with Ethereum. So the supply squeeze that is occurring is mostly because of the Ethereum 2.0 contract deposits, which have reached an all-time high of around almost 8 million Ethereum on October 1st. These tokens remain locked and untransferable for 1 year or more. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And we have Ethereum, if they can pull it off with Ethereum 2.0, transitioning over to proof of stake only makes matters worse when it comes to price. So you're going to see a lot of hoarding of Ethereum as they transition to Ethereum 2.0. So I think you'll definitely see Ethereum in the $13,000-14,000 range in the next year and a half with no problem. Just structurally, I see that being the case. So let's take a look at a contrarian viewpoint on Bitcoin. This guy is a hedge fund manager or chief, says that Bitcoin is overbought and is due for a pullback. So this is out of Market Insider, ladies and gentlemen. Bitcoin is overbought and at risk of a pullback, according to this hedge fund guy, Mark Rusko. He said a pause that refreshes, given how overbought we are right now, wouldn't surprise him. All right. Bitcoin extended gains above 60,000 as ProShares said it would debut its first Bitcoin linked futures ETF. A pause. It kind of sounds exactly what I was talking about. Just a slight pause before we start moving higher at this point, going for that ultimate $100,000 Bitcoin price. It's the classic buy the rumor, sell the news type of event, he says, and I agree with you. I said that at the beginning of this video. Look, Bitcoin is running up ahead of the actual release of this ETF. That's how this always works. Markets are forward pricing, so that means they try to price not for today's price, but what is the price of Bitcoin or any asset in the future. It's a forward pricing mechanism. That's what markets try to do or end up doing. They were pricing in this Bitcoin ETF release by running it up, and once that happens, well, there's nothing else, no more fuel for the markets to live on, and will ultimately have to make a pullback. He attributes it or compares it to when El Salvador adopted this cryptocurrency as legal tender. It lost almost 17%. This is true. Many of us probably forgot about that. So there was a little mini crash, and he thinks that we're going to see that same thing happen with Bitcoin since this ETF has just been launched. So just keep that in mind. Let me know in the comments below, though, what do you think? Are we going to see a pullback after this ETF release that happened today? Is the luster gone, or do you see us just moving way past all-time highs of $64,000 Bitcoin and going for that $100,000 price real soon? Plan B thinks we're going to hit that 134,000, I think it is, by end of Q4. Let me know in the comments below. I would definitely love to hear your opinion on that, your 2 Satoshis on it. That's pretty much it, though, ladies and gents. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to receive more videos like this. I'm out of here, people. Holla! I ain't telling no lies.